Forget everything you ever thought about Cary Grant. If you thought you knew him, let me tell you how wrong you are. Why? Because it's very likely that you don't actually know anything about Cary Grant, the real Cary. Charming and debonair, Cary Grant was the epitome of a leading man in the 1940s and 50s. In Hollywood's golden age, big screen icons like Errol Flynn, John Wayne, Bogart and James Stewart, alongside with Bette Davis and Clark Gable, were the household names of the era. What made them so outstanding? Well, Flynn was celebrated for his swashbuckling heroics in classics like The Adventures of Robin Hood and Captain Blood. Bogart and Wayne carved out tough guy personas in their respective genres. Stewart was the go-to guy for amiable protagonists in films like It's a Wonderful Life. And Bette Davis, the highest-paid actress of the 1940s, reigned as Hollywood's queen, perhaps second only to Katharine Hepburn. And then there's Cary Grant. He was the king alongside Bette Davis's queen. Film critic David Thompson said Cary Grant is the best and most important actor in the history of cinema. Capturing Grant's essence is quite straightforward. He could exude charm and simplicity at the same time. There was a dual nature to him, a dance between light and shadow, where one facet could never fully obscure the other. His Hollywood career spanned an impressive 3 decades. It's filled with a myriad of leading roles that solidified his legendary status. He is synonymous with the old-world elegance of Hollywood's golden era. But what made Cary Grant such a perfect leading man? In this video, we're delving deep into Cary Grant's life, uncovering the traumas that haunted him. Did you even know that at one point he held the title of the highest-paid gigolo in town? I'm about to shed light on the inner battles Cary faced. But that's not all. You'll also gain exclusive insights into what drove him to experiment with LSD, and most importantly, what his true purpose was. Warning, this video is best suited for those with strong hearts. And of course I've saved the best for last. You certainly won't leave with dry eyes. Well, it wasn't just his dashing good looks and impeccable fashion sense. Though those certainly didn't hurt, Grant had a supernatural ability to seamlessly slip into the role of the rugged hero, regardless of the film's genre. He isn't just the ultimate leading man, he's the gold standard against which all others are measured. Yet there's more to Grant than meets the eye. He didn't just act convincingly, he made sure every performance was captivating and fun for the audience. He had a special talent for taking charge of a scene, giving it life, emotion, and an irresistible energy that made it unforgettable. And when it came to working alongside leading ladies and fellow leading men, the chemistry was so enchanting that it felt like pure movie magic. Cary had it all. What's astonishing is that even Cary Grant himself was amazed by his success. He once quipped, "Everyone wants to be Cary Grant. Even I want to be Cary Grant." Let's not forget the second part of that statement, which is quite intriguing. I pretended to be somebody I wanted to be until finally I became that person, or he became me, or we met at some point. When Grant hit the peak of his fame in the 1950s, those long years of pretending to be someone else might have cost him more than they gave him. He constantly wrestled with his background as a poor kid from Bristol and the legendary status he achieved in Hollywood. Beneath the charm, Grant grappled with an identity crisis. He was trying to make sense of his troubled past while basking in the limelight of his glamorous career. Cary Grant's rise to stardom can be split into 2 distinct chapters. Before he became the charismatic and romantic leading man we all know today, Grant's life had taken a very different turn. Hollywood has a knack for shaping the narrative just the way it wants. In celebrity culture, it seemed like scandals were as common as your morning coffee, much like they are today. Whether it was a steamy affair that caused a stir or a run-in with the law, there was never a shortage of jaw-dropping stories to keep fans on the edge of their seats. As we explore Cary Grant's past, we unearth something troubling. This is what defined Cary Grant. An invisible cloak of tragedy veiled him. Despite his charm and good looks, there was a deep sorrow that surrounded him. It was a profound pain, so overwhelming that he knew only one way to find some relief. Imagine carrying a heavy load of stones on your back with no choice but to keep moving forward. That's how life felt for Cary Grant. He carried all the pain he couldn't let go of, replaying his torment and hiding enormous secrets he knew he could never share, fearing it would be his downfall. That's the reality Cary Grant faced every day. But to truly understand him, I have to start at the beginning, and it's the right thing to do because that's when Cary Grant's sufferings were born. Surprise! Cary Grant is not actually Cary Grant. He was born as Archibald Archie Leach into a working-class family in Bristol, England. When Grant set out to make a name for himself in showbiz, he faced a significant hurdle. Paramount Studios weren't too thrilled with it, thinking that Archie Leach lacked the masculine allure needed for a leading man. His real name didn't quite align with the American image they wanted to create. Grant agreed, saying, "It doesn't sound particularly right in Britain either." After some discussions, both Grant and the studio decided on a rebranding, and Cary Grant was born. An integral part of Cary Grant's timeless image is his humble origins. When Cary Grant was just 9 years old, his mother disappeared from his life, and his father did something truly hurtful. He lied. Elias, Grant's father, initially told him that his mum was vacationing at a seaside resort, but as time passed he had no choice but to reveal the painful truth. Grant's mother had passed away. Or not. This heartbreaking loss left Grant shattered, but his father appeared to bounce back swiftly. He relocated himself and his young son to his grandmother's house, where he indulged in constant partying. You can imagine how tough Cary's upbringing got after that. Life at Grant's grandmother's house wasn't much better. His grandmother was distant, and they didn't get along, leaving Grant without affection from his remaining parental figures. He sought solace in one place where he felt accepted: the movie theatre. At the tender age of 14, Grant got wind of a job opening with the Pender troupe of comedians. He wasted no time, applied for the position, and fibbed about his age, even forging his father's signature. He ran away from home. He joined the acrobatic troupe, mastering stilt walking, pantomime, and stage tumbling. When his father discovered his secret, he didn't react kindly. He dragged Grant home by the ear and insisted he go back to school. But getting Grant out of the limelight proved to be a tougher task than expected. At 16, he scored a role at the prestigious New York Hippodrome, a pivotal moment when he discovered his true calling was the stage. While the rest of Grant's troupe sailed back to England after the tour, he chose to anchor himself in New York. America called him, but it was more of a rough ride than a dream. For nearly a decade he hustled through various odd jobs, from being an audience plant for mind readers to hawking attractions at Coney Island. Stilt walking and dinner party seat filling were also part of his repertoire, yet he might have explored some other gigs on the side to make ends meet. He did what he had to, fully aware of his handsome charm. In Tinseltown, Cary transformed into a charismatic Casanova. He was amassing quite the collection of unique romantic experiences. In his early days, rumours swirled about him holding the prestigious title of the town's highest-paid gigolo. It's not a surprise. Cary Grant's way with women is legendary. With 5 marriages, affairs with stunning actresses, and countless flings, he seemed irresistible. But what was his secret? According to Grant's friend, David Niven, Cary had a straightforward trick. He joked that revealing a little performance anxiety was the key. He'd say, "You know, my equipment doesn't work," and apparently women couldn't resist proving him wrong. Of course, looking like Cary Grant didn't hurt either. Grant's early attempts in the film industry were met with a string of disappointments. They almost crushed his dreams of becoming a movie star, but fate took a dramatic turn one fateful day. While casting for a male role in Mae West's film She Done Him Wrong, the legendary actress stumbled upon Grant. Credit where it's due, West had an immediate hunch that Grant was the right fit. She turned to her producer and declared, "If he can talk, I'll take him." It marked the turning point in Grant's career, and the rest, as they say, is history. He hit the jackpot, and that's when his star truly began to dazzle. Teaming up with legendary directors like Alfred Hitchcock, Charles Walters, and Howard Hawks, he left an indelible mark on the most iconic films of the 20th century. He was famous for his charm, grace, and sophistication. There's always a twist in the tales of these seemingly flawless and celebrated actors. Cary's life wasn't just a glamorous Hollywood dream. It had its share of complexities. he grappled with a profound identity crisis. When Grant looked back on his life, he often wrestled with questions about his true self. A fan once asked him how he compared his real personality to the suave Cary Grant seen on the silver screen. He was sombre and confessed, "It's a facade, an aura. I'm not sure if I'm proud of that." On another occasion he pondered for a long time whether he was Archie Leach or Cary Grant. In the late 1950s, at the zenith of his fame, Cary Grant embarked on a quest to uncover his genuine self, unravelling the carefully constructed myth he had honed over 3 decades. But I know why you're here and what you're dying to find out. Was Cary Grant a regular acid user? Yes, definitely yes. But why? Now you might be wondering, why would the world's most successful and charming man dabble in such things? It wasn't just a simple addiction. He experimented with hypnosis and yoga, but found them wanting. So he ventured into the world of hallucinogens, claiming it brought him inner peace. Grant later reflected, "During my adventures I gained profound insights. It was like a rebirth, and I finally arrived at the destination I'd been seeking for so long." As I promised, I'm here to reveal the details of what motivated him, what got under his skin, and how, whether he intended it or not, he carried his past identity along for the ride. "I've spent most of my life shifting between Archie Leach and Cary Grant," he once admitted. "Not sure about either, suspecting both. It's this very tension, this friction, that ignited such sparks on the silver screen." When it comes to Grant's psychedelic adventures, spanning an estimated 100 sessions from 1958 to 1961, they're just one part of his complex life story. Throughout his life, Grant was like a perpetual wanderer. His ever-shifting nature defined him, evoking a Gatsby-like yearning that enabled a young boy from the streets of Bristol to metamorphose into an American prince, the embodiment of Hollywood's grace and glamour. Let's take a trip back to the forgotten era of LSD therapy, a chapter of medical experimentation that thrived before Timothy Leary's counterculture revolution and the groovy West Coast hippie scene. Trust me, it's not what you might expect. Back in the years between 1950 and 1965, approximately 40,000 patients were prescribed lysergic acid for treating a fascinating range of conditions, spanning from alcoholism to schizophrenia and PTSD. In the UK, they even had an LSD clinic at Powick Hospital. Meanwhile, stateside, the CIA was toying with the idea of using this wild substance as a truth serum. But now let me introduce you to Cary Grant's unique journey into this unconventional therapy. His third wife, Betsy Drake, led him into the world of weekly sessions with the mysterious Dr. Mortimer Hartman. Drake had started seeing Hartman to deal with her picture-perfect but troubled marriage, and believed he could help Grant too. Hartman described it as a psychic energizer that empties the subconscious and intensifies emotion and memory 100 times. In Hartman's Los Angeles office, Grant would pick his music, take his prescribed dose, and explore the depths of his mind, all while under the watchful eye of a physician. And let me tell you, it produced some mind-bending results. As Grant himself put it, "In one trip I fancied myself as a colossal rocket launching off Earth like a spaceship." Used in that way, it serves as a form of rapid therapy. As Grant described it, these sessions allowed him to break free from his usual self-imposed constraints. "It permits you to fly apart," Grant once explained. "I got clearer and clearer. Your subconscious takes over when you take it, and you become free of the usual discipline you impose upon yourself." It was like disassembling himself and letting his subconscious take control. He found the courage to confront his complex relationship with his parents, especially the institutionalization of his mother when he was 11 years old. So she wasn't really dead. I've told you, Cary Grant carried a lot of weight and trauma behind those walls, and nobody knew. "I forced myself through the realization that I loved my parents and forgave them for what they didn't know," Grant shared. "I became happier for it, and the insights I gained dispelled many of the fears I had prior to that time." When you've carried these wounds deep inside for decades and had to keep them hidden, it's like they've been buried even deeper, so it's no surprise that Cary Grant is filled with happiness and hope at the thought of finding solace. There's hope for the healing of his soul, and that's what drove him. After weeks of treatment came a day when I saw the light, Cary shared. When I broke through, I felt an immeasurably beneficial cleansing of so many needless fears and guilts. I lost all the tension that I'd been crippling myself with. First, I thought of all those wasted years. Second, I said, "Oh my God, the humanity, please come in." It finally brought stability to his life, Grant proclaimed. During my sessions I would learn a great deal, and the result was a rebirth. I finally got where I wanted to go. He claimed he was saved by LSD. You have to remember that Cary was a private man. He rarely gave interviews, and yet after these sessions he personally contacted Good Housekeeping magazine and said, "I want to tell the world about this. It has changed my life. Everyone's got to take it." I've also heard that Timothy Leary read this interview, or was told about it, and that his own interest in acid was essentially sparked by Cary Grant. Grant raced through life, with his inner demons relentlessly nipping at his heels. At 14 he signed up as an acrobat with the Bob Pender stage troupe, and by the age of 16 he had already set sail for the United States, shedding not only his name but also his accent along the way. Marriages came and went like tailored suits, discarded when they grew uncomfortable. It wasn't until later in life that he grasped the source of his fear of intimacy, and that was a big problem. His tumultuous relationship with his mother, who had mysteriously vanished during his childhood. Grant believed she had perished. It wasn't until he was in his 30s, already a Hollywood star, that he uncovered the truth. Elsie Leach had been institutionalized by his unfaithful father at the Bristol Lunatic Asylum. When Grant arrived to rescue her, Elsie scrutinized him suspiciously. "Archie," she inquired, "is that truly you?" By that point even he wasn't entirely certain. Isn't it touching? It really pulls at your heartstrings. I did mention at the beginning that this video would bring tears to your eyes. At the end of his sessions he felt healed and whole. He called Hartman "my wise Mahatma." But Grant wasn't the only celebrity taking part during that era. LSD was seen as an innovative therapeutic tool, drawing in many famous folks like Esther Williams, who couldn't resist its tantalizing promises. After all the twists and turns in his life, Cary Grant found his true calling. In 1966, something remarkable happened that completely shifted Grant's focus and led him to bid farewell to his acting career. That something was the birth of his daughter, Jennifer, with his fourth wife, Diane Cannon. At the age of 62, Grant decided to step away from the limelight and dedicate the remaining 20 years of his life to being a devoted father. No matter where Grant went, Jennifer was by his side, and he made sure to capture their precious moments together with a camera he kept handy at all times. Their bond was so profound that Grant safeguarded every note and letter they exchanged in a fireproof vault at home, ensuring their preservation for Jennifer's future. Grant's commitment to fatherhood was evident in his actions. Jennifer fondly recalled a time when her father rented a house in her trick-or-treating neighbourhood just to be with her and hand out candy. While she initially felt a bit embarrassed by his unwavering devotion, she now wishes she had thanked him for everything he did. I'm not sure about you, but Cary's story really touches my heart. He was a favourite of many, including myself, and getting to know him through this story was special for me. I hope you found value in this video as well. In the limelight, Cary Grant epitomised charm and sophistication, a true Hollywood legend. But beneath the glamour, beyond the suave exterior, there was a man of many layers, a sensitive soul. Just picture carrying the weight of your past, the trauma and the secrets, all concealed behind a mask of your image, which is totally controlled by the studios. Cary Grant bore this burden for years, a heavy load hidden from the world. It's a testament to the complexity of his character, the depths of his pain. Yet in the midst of it all he embarked on a journey of self-discovery, a quest to reconcile the man he portrayed with the man he truly was. The allure of therapy beckoned him, offering a path to inner peace. He confronted his fears, found forgiveness, and experienced a rebirth of sorts. Cary Grant's life was a perpetual voyage, a relentless pursuit of self. From the streets of Bristol to the pinnacle of Hollywood's grace and glamour, his journey was nothing short of extraordinary. But it wasn't just fame that defined him. Cary's story, his layers of complexity and resilience have touched us all. It's a privilege to share this journey with you, to unravel the enigma of a Hollywood icon. Archie Leach, the boy who ran away, became Cary Grant, the timeless legend. His life, his struggles and his triumphs remind us that behind every Hollywood star there's a story waiting to be told. But you can't just bail on me like that without watching another super interesting video. You've got to see this one. How did studio fixers hide all of Clark Gable's sins? Click right now.